What's going on, Dolphins? It is your boy Dillon, and I'm here to do the third video that is scheduled for today. Obviously, I did a roster moves video earlier, and then I did one of my scouting report videos, so make sure you check those out. But this is going to be the update to the draft order as it stands currently. Where do we pick? Where do the Eagles pick with our draft pick from next year, from this next draft that we gave them? And then also we're going to take a look at what it's going to take to get to the playoffs at this point. And with the Bills and the Titans losing, it jumbles up the Bengals won. It jumbles up the top of the AFC a little bit, and so that does overall improve our odds. And then of course also we won against the Jets, so let's go ahead and take a look at that. We're going to jump into the draft order though first, because that's going to be quick and easy. So as you can see here, the Dolphins currently have the number 8th pick, but that goes to Philadelphia because we traded away. So Philly will be picking at the 8th spot if the draft was to be held today. Now obviously that's going to change more over the remainder of the season. Hopefully and ideally what we want is we want this pick to continue to drop. Obviously we need to win more games for that to happen, and we want this pick to rise up. Although currently San Francisco, they did get a win this past week, and so they are now at 14. They sit at 14, so our pick is 14. Now, unfortunately, I said at the beginning of the season that I think that, obviously you guys know that I didn't think the Dolphins were going to have a particularly great year. I had my original prediction was 6-11. My revised prediction after what I saw through training camp and the preseason was 9-8. And I still think that is a very high probability to be the case, one of the two or somewhere in between. And I said at the beginning of the year that unfortunately I think the San Francisco 49ers are going to find a way to sneak into the NFC playoffs. And I still think that has a reasonable probability. But we will have to wait and see. But obviously the hope is we want San Francisco's pick. We want them to lose, and so our pick goes up, and we want to win, so their pick goes down, the one we gave to Philly. So, all right, that's pretty quick. That's pretty easy, like I said. Now let's go ahead and jump over to the NFL playoffs. This first one, though, I have two of them up here on my tab. But this one, real quick, because I just wanted to show you guys what it is currently with nothing from, week 12 and on. So I have it, current. I have this one with it, so it's just all current standings with nothing in week 12 or week 13 or week 14 or 17 or any of that stuff, right? So just where it stands currently. And so as you can see here, we have Tennessee, Baltimore, New England, KC, Cincinnati, and the Chargers. And then actually, you can't see it because my things, let me see if let me make me a little bit smaller actually. Let's do that. Anyway, so as you can see, Buffalo then rounds out the top 7 for the playoffs as it stands currently. And then on the NFC side, Arizona, Green Bay, Tampa Bay, Dallas, LA, Minnesota, and New Orleans round out the top 7 there. Okay, but this is obviously what can we do to get to the playoffs? So I had some different scenarios, but obviously, and to start with, this is it. This is current standings up through week 11, and then I simulated everything from week 12 on. I randomized it, and then I went through and I kind of looked a little bit. I changed some things that I thought would go differently or whatever. So, but I didn't, most of it's random. The thing that I, am prioritizing most, obviously, is the Dolphins. Now, as I have this current scenario, I have the Dolphins winning out. So that's obviously the most, the most obvious way for the Dolphins to make it into the playoffs is if they win out, and then obviously they need some other things to break their way and so on and so forth. But let's take a look at this. So let's see some different potential scenarios and see how it affects it. Now, I think that this game against Carolina is going to be tougher than what people think. And obviously, you know, I'll be doing my preview video on Friday. But I'll keep it real with you guys. I'm kind of... Happy Thanksgiving, by the way. Anyway, so I'm not... Unfortunately, my life, quick side note, my life the past... as long as I can remember now, hasn't really been good around the holidays. I don't really care about the holidays anymore. It's kind of depressing and sad, I know, so I won't say much about it. But that's why I don't really think about it. I didn't mention it in my previous 2 videos. But to everybody out there, happy Thanksgiving, safe holidays. Make sure you guys, you know... especially when it comes to gatherings, make sure you guys are still, you know, keeping safe. COVID's not over. You don't want to spread it to your family. That's not something that you want to give to family members, obviously. But stay safe, enjoy the holidays, and, you know, definitely glean the good things, because there's a lot of bad and a lot of negativity in this world. So take what you can from it. All right, so anyway, you know, obviously the last 3 games of the season, New Orleans, Tennessee, and New England, those all worry me. But this game against Carolina, I've been going back and forth with it in my head. And unfortunately, I'm having a hard time determining whether I think, look, we can win this game, but I think I'm kind of leaning to the Panthers when it comes to my prediction as of right now. I'm going to mull it over, and I'm going to think about it some more as the rest of the week goes on. Obviously, I'll do my actual prediction Friday, but I got to keep it real with you guys. Because they have this currently the 2nd-ranked defense in the league, which doesn't bode well for our offense. And I think they do have some decent weapons at receiver, but with Christian McCaffrey, and I get it. Cam Newton is not the same Cam Newton, the MVP Cam Newton and stuff like that. And, you know, whatever. But I still think he can pose an issue for this team. And especially because injuries have been piling up again, especially on the defensive side. So I am a little bit worried about this game. But let's take a look at a couple scenarios. So let's say we do lose to the Panthers. How does that change things? So that will drop us out of the playoffs, and as it stands currently, that would drop us out and push Pittsburgh up into the playoffs, and then it would be Tennessee, Baltimore, KC, Buffalo, LA, New England, and Pittsburgh. Obviously, again, this is with, you know, the randomized picks that I generated, and then I went through and, you know, I tried to see if I agreed with all that, and then I made changes where I didn't agree. And so this is how I figure in a lot of ways that the playoffs are going to shape up. And so if we were to lose to Carolina, well, under the scenarios that I have, that's not the case. Now, the thing is, as long as the Dolphins keep winning, and especially with the way that there have been all these different upsets with some of the top teams in the AFC, and especially this past week with Tennessee and, you know, Buffalo losing, we beat the Ravens, etc., like, it does jumble it up. And so, you know, as the weeks go on, if some of these top teams do lose, you know, like if Tennessee, Baltimore, and KC, you know, don't all make it to 13 wins, which is certainly possible, you know, then it can jumble things up a bit more and give us even more opportunities. But as of right now, with the way it is and the way I have it, losing to now, and again, obviously too, with each week that passes and we have the actual results, it's going to get a little bit more accurate each and every week. So, but if we were to lose to Carolina as of right now in this scenario, that takes us out of the playoffs. So let's see, week 13, we win against the Giants. I'm pretty sure, you know, if we lose, so let's just see. If we lose against the Giants, yep, that drops us out of the playoffs in this scenario. I'm pretty sure it's going to be the case for pretty much, if we lose against the Jets again, yep, that'll drop us out. So let's put that back. Week 16, if we lose to the Saints, that'll drop us out. Week 17, if we lose to the Titans, that'll drop us out. and then week 18, if we lose to the Patriots, that would drop us out. So as of right now, again, let's be clear here. And I mean, so obviously I have, to be clear, when I went through, I randomized everything that hadn't been decided yet. And then when I was going through deciding for myself if, teams were going to win, I tried to pick who I thought the better teams were. And I do think that, a lot of these AFC teams, Tennessee, Baltimore, KC, Buffalo, LA, New England, I do think they are the top teams in the conference. And so they generally got wins from me. But, we'll see how things play out. If some of these teams do lose, then it gives us, some additional opportunity. But as of right now, with everything through week 11 having been played, and firmly decided, and then with the way that I randomly generated and then, switched some things up or whatever, the way that I had, the way I see it falling, as of right now, the Dolphins still have to win out in order to be able to make the playoffs. Because if we lose even one of these other games, it drops us out and, we're not going to make it. So, there you have it. But again, listen, if the Dolphins can, win against the Panthers this week, obviously that improves our chances a little bit more, gives you a little bit more room for optimism. And look, I was talking to Crypto, I think it was Crypto, or I was talking to somebody or a couple people in the backstage of one of Reason's shows recently. And the way I put it, it was like this. Listen, when it comes to the playoffs, not for the rest of the year, not only am I going to take it 1 week at a time, but I will be as excited about our chances for the playoffs as the chances actually are, right? So in other words, I think for now, after our win this past week against the Jets, I think we moved up to like 14% probability or some shit like that. We went from like 1% to like 14%. So I'm 14% excited that we can make it to the playoffs, right? If we get to 7-7, 8-7, 9-7, obviously the probability starts to skyrocket, and then I'll get more excited. But as of right now, and realistically speaking, it does seem as if for the Dolphins to be able to make it into the playoffs with the way that they started the season, going 1-7, losing in the division, losing in the conference, and losing potential tiebreaker opportunities, then, it's tough. And still, as it stands, it looks like the best chance that we have is to win out. But again, one more time, I know I've kind of repeated myself a number of times in this video, but if the Dolphins keep winning, and then if we can get some help over the next few weeks and some of these other top teams do lose games, especially if games that they're not supposed to lose, then, and it jumbles up the top end, then it does give us some fresh opportunities and increases the probability of other ways of getting into the playoffs. Like, because if some of these teams lose, then maybe there is a chance that, at the back end, we could end up with a 9-8 record and still make it in. But I took it down now, but the way I had it, as you could see at the very end, right before I'll split back to it just real quick. So as you can see, though, when it comes to the AFC, if it falls the way that I have it, then 9-8 is not going to be good enough to get you into the playoffs. 10 wins minimum. And unfortunately, I think that's the case. I think 10 wins is going to be the absolute bare minimum. Whereas you can see here on the NFC side, if it works out similar to how I predict it, then you're going to have some top-heavy teams, which allows, maybe an 8-9 Minnesota, for example, if it played out like this, to sneak into the playoffs, and where, 9 wins actually could. But I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure that's going to be the case for the AFC, even with the way that, like KC started off slow, and, Buffalo has had some struggles. Baltimore has had some struggles. I think when it comes down to it, you are going to see that all of those teams, Tennessee, Baltimore, Baltimore, KC, Buffalo, LA, New England, unfortunately, are going to be the teams that, still rise up to the top. And yes, they might be a little bit closer in record, but unfortunately, that's what makes it difficult for a team with like a 9-8 record to sneak in. Right? It's easier in a conference where you have, 2 or maybe 3 teams that are just powerhouse teams and get to like 14, 15, 16 wins. And then you have, a bunch of other teams that are really bad and then maybe jumbling up in the middle of the conference that gives you an opportunity to sneak in with like, a 9-8 or an 8 or 9 record. But all right, anyway, that's what I got for you guys. That is my, what does it take to make it to the playoffs and update in the draft order as it currently stands. Hopefully we can get this win against the Carolina Panthers and increase our odds and probability, and hope we can get some help from some of these other teams too, because I would like to be able to continue to do this each and every week. Like I said, I'm going to do it as long as the Dolphins are not eliminated mathematically from the playoffs. As long as there's still is some mathematical chance, I'm going to do these videos, and I would like to see, if there are some possible scenarios in which the Dolphins could get in without having to win out, right? So, and that's why I said if over the next few weeks, if we can get some help from some of these other teams, then maybe in a few weeks from now, not only will I be able to continue this, but maybe then we'll also be able to talk about it in a little bit different light, in a little bit different context, where it doesn't have to rely completely on the Dolphins winning the remainder of their games to get in. Because again, there are still, to what I believe, 4 very tough games on the schedule that could very well result in losses. Obviously, the Giants and Jets games are not guaranteed, although I do expect those to be wins. But Carolina this week, New Orleans, Tennessee, and New England at the end of the season are all tough games, and games that I think could very well still be losses. And should we lose all those games, then we're likely going to end at the 6-11 original season prediction, as opposed to, closer to the 9-8 or the miraculous 10-7, season. So anyway, with that, I'm gonna get out of here. Before I do, make sure you check out the Rave On Sports app, the new fan-driven sports app for all of your sports, basketball, baseball, college, whatever you like. Make sure you check that out, and they're looking to enhance your game day experience with live play-by-play coverage, live chats with other fans and content creators like myself. Look for the links to that in the description box. And with that, I'm gonna get out of here. I hope you guys appreciate my perspective. If you do, make sure you hit the subscribe button, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you hit the bell if you want to get the alerts. Share my channel and videos with your friends and family. Leave your questions, comments, and concerns down in the comment section. Of course, as always, follow me on Twitter at DillonTartaro. And with that, I am out. I'll see y'all soon. Phins up.